Well, hello, ChangePoint family. Thanks so much for joining us. If you don't know me, my name is Tony Murrow, and this is the Commons Post-Service Show. And our guest today on the Commons is a newer member of the ChangePoint family, Allison Quier. Allison, say hello to ChangePoint.
Hi, ChangePoint.
So, Allison, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you lived in Alaska? What do you do for work? And how long have you been a part of ChangePoint?
Yeah, hi. I came to Alaska in February of 1998, so yeah, just
A little while ago.
A little while ago, yeah, well over 20 years. Moved up here actually to open up the first Home Depot. Worked for them for quite some time, and then was in the military in the Army National Guard, and was asked if I'd consider coming to work full time. So I ended up leaving Home Depot and went to work for the Alaska Army National Guard full time. Retired from there in 2010. And then transitioned to a full-time Army civilian position on the Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. So work for a communications unit on the Army side.
That's cool. How long have you been a part of ChangePoint?
Believe it or not, it's just been over a year. I was with another church organization and needed, I think, a little bit deeper relationship with God and trying to figure out what that meant, and probably meant a change in my journey. My best friend actually goes to ChangePoint and knew that I was kind of struggling a little bit and had suggested ChangePoint because her and her husband are both members here. So
Come to church with me.
Yeah, come to church with you. So March of last year, I tried to come to church.
Right, but we weren't doing it.
We couldn't get there. Actually, we're going online and learned that a lot of the churches, of course, with COVID had been shut down. But ChangePoint was doing a lot of online services, and a lot of churches were. So I said, hey, yeah, I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to check it out. So opened up the app, and Lance Kramer, the pastor from Kotzebue, his was the first sermon that I heard, and was pretty well hooked.
That's good.
Yeah, it was hooked.
That's good. Lance is wonderful. Well, you have not stayed online over the last year. You've gotten involved in a number of different kind of ChangePoint ministry areas. First was the mobile food pantry, I believe, right?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
So, and actually, when I found out the church was first opening at their 50% capacity, I was in my truck and I was on the way here. So, Bible and all, just up to the information desk, and Kyle was the first one that I met and find out about ChangePoint, and said, yeah, I'm kind of new and I don't know where to go. So yes, go through that door, and we're all in mass, and sat down, and then I actually talked to him a little bit later, and I said, I'm a very outward person. I like to do the outward projects, what I call the missional community, being that family of servant missionaries.
Outside the walls of the church?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I'm very much outside the wall because, one, it makes me a better person. To be the best version of myself, as I'm constantly learning, is to be that version of Christ, and what he does, and going out and preaching amongst the people, not hidden in the walls. So one of the first ones that came out, other than some of the smaller with the shoe boxes and different things, but the Food Bank of Alaska came up, and so I signed on and had a chance to meet Eric and the rest of the volunteers with that, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, that's a growing crew. Are you making friends? How's it?
I am making friends.
You guys
At
look
least
like
I
you're
hope
having
so.
fun out there. You guys look like you're having fun.
Yeah.
What's the experience been like working with food pantries?
It's so good because I know that there was quite a few people coming in line, and it ebb and flow. I think a lot of it with the weather, because one of our funny stories is, of course, in May. So that first Thursday in May that we were out there, we had that cold front come in. So we're all in our Arctic gear, and it's 25 below zero with the winds blowing like crazy. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, we're in T-shirts and shorts, and the sun is out, so very much Alaskan. But yeah, just the lines of people. I've had a chance to just visit with people. People are proxying, so they'll come and they're picking up for some family members or their neighbor, or they brought their neighbor because they can't drive for whatever reason. So it's almost like an extension of us, of faith, our Christians. We're always trying to do what we can for the community. And a lot of them are so grateful. They would open the door or their windows, or open the door, come out and chat for a bit and just say thank you. And I just have to say, no, thank you. And I'm just glad you're here, because it makes me better. And I'm just going to pray for you. it really gave me an opportunity to be more outward prayerful. So another thing that I've been trying to get better at as a Christian. So it's been really fun meeting people and then recognizing them from, the Thursday to that Thursday, and remembering a couple of names, and especially being a military veteran from being in Iraq and Afghanistan and such. So I've met quite a few vets, and so that's been a real blessing for me as well.
Well, I wouldn't be a good communications guy if I didn't do a shameless plug here. If you want to be involved with the mobile food pantry, you can find out more information about that or sign up to join this awesome team online at changepointalaska.com/missions. And speaking of missions, the mobile food pantry is not the most missional thing you've ended up doing recently, because you got roped into this new Marshall project, yes?
I did, yeah. It was all over that. I said, I hope I'm okay with my family and going out in the middle of nowhere, and checking out a village.
So had you been to rural Alaska Village before?
Just with the National Guard, I've been up to Bethel and down up to Barrow, and just a couple other things just from the National Guard side. But this is my first opportunity to get out this far. So super excited. Had to go on the map. Okay, where's Marshall? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Bethel and Barrow too. They're also a little bit larger compared to Marshall.
Exactly.
Yes? Exactly. So Marshall, a town of 400 people.
Yeah, maybe 450. Yeah, a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
We'll get to that in just a second. We had 3 teams that went out. What were you guys doing out there?
Yeah, so I went out with the second week. So the big job for us was mainly the painting. So the whole gist of this is for Change Point to take over a church that was in really good condition. So the crew that we had here from the Raspberry campus, we did all the painting on the inside. The church, the main church, fellowship hall, the guest house, and then the main house, where the ministry team is going to be. And of course, when Lance gets a chance to come in, he'll be able to stay there. So tremendous amount of painting, the cleaning, just top to bottom, scrubbing, from new grout and tile laying, new flooring in the Arctic entryways, to electrical work that one of the guys did a fabulous job. And then, replacing things in the oven and the stove with the burners and the plates, sorting out keys, you name it, we did it.
You went with the second team, but you stayed for the third week, or a large portion of it, right?
Yeah, so I had the third crew that was coming out, they were a little bit shorthanded. They had a few people, unfortunately, that had to drop out. So 2 of us from the second week group, we kind of called back home and said, hey, can we stay? We'd like to stay a little bit longer. We'd split the difference. And so we stayed an extra 5 days. So it was really fun. We actually got to work with the second crew, and then halfway through with the third crew.
Now, I heard that Matsu crew was pretty intense when it came to getting things done from a construction perspective.
They were intense, because we'd come in on a Saturday, and just try to get everybody fed, and then we kind of lay it all out. Our project manager from Samaritan's Purse would lay everything out for us. So Russ was really good at that, kind of what we were expected. So the third crew was mainly for the outside, and then just, some of the bigger jobs, a lot of the painting on the outside. And of course, weather was always going to play a factor in that. Painting the oil tanks and some more electrical work, getting wood ready for the next round of winter. And they have a huge, like a big wood burning furnace that's like a backup in case they lose electricity and stuff, just to keep things heated. So tremendous amount of work. They wanted to go like gangbusters. Of course, Sunday was supposed to be our day, a little more get ready for services. We had an 11 o'clock and a 7 o'clock service planned, and then just kind of our sort of immersing ourselves into the village a little bit, get to know people, and maybe kind of get out in ministry if we can. But they were just gung-ho. They wanted to work. But I think the second crew did too. But these guys from Matsu were pretty awesome as well.
Different breed.
A different breed.
Those Matsu folks.
Yeah, so, some great people for sure.
Let me talk to you about these worship services for a moment, because these churches have been shut down for years and had not held any kind of worship services. And you were there in their second week of operation, and there were worship services. What did you see on the ground in terms of community engagement?
Yeah, so we had gotten word ahead of time that people started to show up the very first day that the first group was there. So we met them at the plane. They were like, be prepared. So yeah, and so of course the guys are they sleeping in the sanctuary. Women, we were in the main house, and so the beds are all laid out. So we getting ready for service. The guys would just grab the beds and we're stacking them all up and stacking them in the corner of the back of the sanctuary, setting up all the chairs. And then, because a lot of the elders, they're in their 70s and 80s, and a couple of Vietnam veterans that I met. So plug for the Vietnam vets that are out in Marshall, and thank you again for your service. And so, they went around and picked them up and brought them back. And, these are, guys in their late 70s, early 80s, and they play in the band. They used to be a pastor, and yeah, it was just amazing, and just they, ready to go. They wanted to be there an hour ahead of time and get their guitars tuned and get the equipment out, and it was fun. I took my camera and I got some really fun pictures.
Yeah, we saw there was a photo. I think we just had it up there of one of the team members, a young man from the team, playing with one of the elders from the village. Yeah, what's going on in that photo?
Yeah, so that was Simon. Actually, his folks, Chris and Ann, and part of the Scott and Ruth Mariners small group.
Ann sings on the worship team.
Yeah, Ann sings on the worship. Yeah, so she had told me that her son Simon was going. Actually, Simon was really fun because we were kind of the paired team to do the painting. So Simon unfortunately had the roller, but I had all the trim work. I think both of us were kind of the short ones, but so
got it done.
And so the elders were playing. They were getting some things in tune, and they just loved to sing. I mean, it was all about an hour or two, whatever it took to get all this. They're old hymns. These are very old hymns, and it was so amazing to hear the music and everybody singing. And we didn't care if we were out of key; it was totally fine. And so, it was just a kind of a spur of the moment. It's like Simon plays guitar. We're like, oh, and Lance was like, yeah, let's just get him in. And Simon grabs a guitar, and all of a sudden he's just sitting next to the elder and he's playing. And I mean, and what a sight for any of us who you see a 19-year-old. Bless his heart, he's just the sweetest young man and so kind. And then, with one of the elders out there, and actually two of the elders, that are probably 80-ish, and that you see that timeline of that youth and that elder, and, so much history there. And just the love and, the commitment to it. And, a real blessing. It was just so fun to watch them and see it happen.
It's fantastic. Well, there was another kind of surprising development that I've heard lots of stories about as we've talked about what happened in Marshall, and that was the appearance of some young and enthusiastic participants. Tell us about the kids in Marshall.
Yeah, so we again kind of forewarned about a lot of the children in the village kind of showing up to the church, and found out that a lot of these kids. We're very close to John and Margaret, the couple that's going back out there to stay for a while, and just the excitement of that, and I think it was just they were sitting in the building waiting for the door to open and for John and Margaret to come in at any moment. We're all trying to reassure them, yes, they're coming back, but who are you? And I'm Allison, and this is Sandy, or this is Barb, or this is Chad or Jeff, or we're all trying to introduce ourselves and and get engaged with them too. But they just, it was, I don't know, just kind of like a boys and girls club, The sanctuary became the boys and girls club, and, we were the adults there to help them with whatever they wanted and giving them snacks. And we were worried because we had food for, the crew that was working there, and, and we had talked with Russ from Samaritans, and it was like, we'll come try to give them some snacks. They got a co-op store in the village, so if we got to get some more stuff, we will. And so that was always on everybody's mind. We're going to run out of food. We're going to run out of food. And we all sat around the table one time, and the discussion came of course, of the fish and the loaves of bread. And the food, we never ran out of food. And I just kept sitting there, I'm like, if you're not a believer, you should be. Just because of, that experience with, and the kids. And I think at one time, at one evening service for that first Sunday that we were there, we must have had over 60 people in the building. So, probably 10, 11 of us, and then the rest were from the village, and, about maybe 20 or 25 people in the church, and then the rest of the kids. So, and just excited that there was a place for them to come to. We got a popcorn maker going. The Matsu group brought a bunch of brand new games out. We got the TV up. We got the videos playing, and yeah, I think it just became just a real comfortable, safe place for them to be. And it didn't bother them. We were all from Anchorage, and not really native or anything. But I think they got it that we were there, and there was a tremendous amount of unconditional love. Yeah. And I think it was reciprocated. So we felt it from them, and hopefully they felt it from us.
What is it that you were part of maybe 25, 30 people who, from the Change Point family, who got to experience Marshall firsthand.
Yeah.
What would you want the rest of the Change Point family to know or understand about Marshall, the community, or the work that our church is doing there?
I think it's with Change Point and its mission, as I'm growing with Change Points, because I'm still fairly new here, but just that mission of reaching out to every Alaskan, and what a great place to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Kind of one of the terms we use a lot too in the military. But that we're walking that. I mean, we really want to be there on the ground, and we want to show people that there are, that there's alternatives to your belief, that there are people out here that have tremendous love for our community, for our fellow human beings, and I hope that we can continue to grow. I'm excited. I had showed Lance Kramer some of the photographs that I have of the kids, which is kind of the highlight of the photos that I took, because I think it really captures the real heartbeat and the real essence of that village. Is these kids try to find out what they want to do, and some of them, we actually went to a high school graduation, and I met one of the young men out there who actually joined the Army National Guard, so that was a real bonus for me to meet him. And then a couple of the young women that are wanting to come into Anchorage and down to Soldotna to study behavioral health. And I know that the guys from Matsu, they were talking about being an electrician, or any of our trades that we have in the trade schools, and how much money, and try to instill on them that you can be a great person, and have that strong belief, because God's on your side. Everything is in His control. Jesus loves them, we do, and then if they want to be great people in their community, they can learn these great skills that they can go out, which we know a lot of them do in the villages. They can come out, learn these trades, but they can go back in. Not just us to provide a place for them to come to for worship, but that we're there for any kind of counsel, for friendship. It was instant friendships there, but that they can also have another purpose out in the village. And so I hope that we can help them with those things, with life skills, and just some other alternatives.
I saw what appeared to be some trade education happening just with the Matsu group while they were out there. There's some photos of young kids wielding DeWalt drills.
Not just the boys, but the girls as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we had one of the girls.
So what's going on in that photo? What are they doing there?
So so that's I think that's Mark and Alan, and they're actually building some shelving for the new Arctic entryways that were redone. And so one of the boys there, Alexander, he actually worked with both groups. So he worked with Jeff, and he was working with Jeff up in the crawl space, putting in a new ceiling fan in the bathrooms. So they were learning all about, and Brian too. He was teaching them a little bit about electrical, and he was getting real excited. And then the guys from Matsu, Alan and Mark, they were showing them how to use the power drill. They were letting them put some of the screws in to build the shelving, and then a couple of the girls came in, a couple hours after that, and they were learning how to use them as well. So, go girls! So yeah,
I think all kids
exciting.
Like power tools,
I do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and they're great skills. Well, we're running short of time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would say to Change Point that I haven't kind of set you up for about the mobile food pantry, about Marshall, about involvement in our church? What do you think people should know?
I know a lot. It all depends on our personalities, on what we're comfortable with, and but I've been around the military my whole life, so I've traveled the world, my entire life. So I have a little bit different personality about getting out there. So if you if anyone at Change Point has that desire to do just anything, even if it's just one small thing, like at Claire House, that I used to do some stuff with Claire House and cooking meals and dropping off, go to Costco and pick up some extra milk and bread and eggs. So those things that are always in short supply, and drop that off at the Claire House for the women and children that are there. Just, try to do your best to come out of your comfort zone, and just do a Thursday afternoon in the parking lot at Change Point. Hey, God gives us a good sunny day, so why not? And if anybody is interested in doing that, and how you kind of get over sort of that uncomfortableness of getting out and putting yourself out there, I'd love to kind of help people who've done some of these projects. But I've actually, the one that's given me the most joy is the projects that we've done in Change Point. Gives me a tremendous amount of joy. And it really is. It's life-changing for me. I'm, talking with Scott and Ruth Mariner quite a bit on my journey, and what we're doing brings me such immense joy. I'm so grateful. And like I said, I hope that I can get back out to Marshall and build the photo gallery in the fellowship hall, which is my next goal. And hopefully Lance will let me go. But yeah.
Lance, if you're listening.
Yeah, Lance, if you're listening. But yeah, Change Point, what an incredible place to be. It's a big church. It can be overwhelming, but there are little things that you can do, and that I think that will change your life. It's changed mine, and I've been always been a believer, but it's strengthened my path. It's strengthened my journey, in my outwardly mission, which is my comfort zone, is to be an outward missionary. So stick with Change Point, and if you're not sure, I'd love to talk to people and help you. I'll walk by your side, I promise.
Take a risk. Come take a chance. It'll be good for you. Well, Allison, thanks so much for your time.
Tony.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
And thank you, Change Point family, for joining us as well. God bless you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Yep, thanks.